Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. This week I thought I'd do something a little bit different. So, what have I been doing? Well, specifically, I was recently playing around with something, and I can't actually even remember exactly what it was, but I noticed I had Do Not Disturb on. And so I went into the menu to try and change it and get out of it because I needed to do something else. And I found some extra settings, and I thought, oh, I don't recall seeing these before. And so I started playing around with them. To cut a long story short, I figured out how I could create basically schedule events to control Do Not Disturb for me, so I don't have to keep switching it on and off. And I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. This would be a good video. So that's what we're going to have a look at today. We're going to have a look at how to set up Do Not Disturb on your Android device. So until recently, when I made this discovery, I had been using airplane mode. So you read a lot of things when you read a lot about life and living and various other things, and I'd read a lot of stuff about not having your phone next to your bed at night, not having your phone on at night, and all these sorts of things. However, like most people, I use my phone as an alarm. So I didn't want all the extra notifications and various bits and pieces going off and waking me up as they had done previously. Even worse, waking my wife up. We won't go there. And anyway, so I thought, hey, this would be a good way to see if I can skip all that sort of carry on and having to put it into airplane mode before I go to bed, and then having to remember to take it out of airplane mode the next morning. That's my big forget thing lately. So I found these extra settings, and I went in and I noticed there was a few little events and things. And so I started playing around, and I managed to get it set up to have basically one thing happen during the week, during weekdays, and a slightly different thing happen at weekends. And now Do Not Disturb comes on, it does it all by itself. I only get interrupted by alarm sounds. I don't get all the notifications. I don't have to change into airplane mode or out of airplane mode. It's just automatic. Makes my life a bit easier and makes me look not so forgetful. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the phone and let's have a look at how we can set this up. So here we are on my phone, and what we're going to do simply is to pull down the notifications at the top, and on the right hand side here you can see we have this little down arrow which brings up the rest of our notification area, and right here is our Do Not Disturb. So click on the little arrow and we get our basic settings for Do Not Disturb. Now I'm not going to go into this too much because it's fairly self-explanatory, and most of you are probably familiar with this if you've used it anyway. The bit we're interested in today is this bit down here where it says More Settings. So we're going to go into there. And this is where we get the full set of selections and settings for Do Not Disturb. So here at the top we have our priority only settings. Now this is basically allows you to change the priority only aspects. So you can turn it on so reminders will work, your events will work, alarms are on by default, you can't change that. Messages, you can get messages from anybody, only your contacts, only starred contacts, or none, as it's set up for at the moment. There's also this little toggle at the bottom which basically allows a person to make a second call within a 15-minute period. It will automatically allow that to come through. So that's your priority only settings. Now that just gives you so much more flexibility in how you can use Do Not Disturb and how you can set up set it up for different things using these automatic rules. As you can see, you can add more. This is the three default ones, and I'm basically using the weekend and the weeknight. All I've done is adjust a couple of things. So first of all is I have changed the weekday one, so it's just those nights. Basically the nights before I get up to go to work. And I've set this one to start at 9:30 at night and finish at 7 a.m. the next morning. I have set it to alarms only because obviously in this instance here for the do not disturb, I want it to I want my alarm to go off. I don't want to miss the alarm and not end up being late for work. So that's what I've got set there. And then the bottom toggle for these events is basically an override. So if you reach the end time of the event as you have set up here, then do not disturb will be turned off. Or if the next alarm goes off before you reach this time here, that also will deactivate the do not disturb, because obviously once you're awake, you're awake. So that's really cool, and it just gives you so much more flexibility to be able to do this on particular days of the weeks and set these times, start and end times is really, really handy. So what I did for the other weekends, I quite like to stay up a little bit later on a Friday or a Saturday night, but I do tend to start still similar times the next morning, so I've just left the end time at 7, but I've changed the start time to 11 o'clock, and as you can see, Friday and Saturdays. This time I actually chose to go total silence for the preferences, because obviously I don't want any stray alarms that I've forgotten to turn off to wake me up the next morning when I'm trying to have a nice sleep in. So there you go. That is basically automatic rules for Do Not Disturb on Android 8. Now, just a note, I haven't looked at the other versions of Android to see whether this is part of it. On later versions of Android, I would expect it would be. On earlier versions, that could be a little bit different. So just something to keep in mind there. But there you go. That's Do Not Disturb preferences. A really handy little thing to have, and really, really helpful. And it helps me save a lot of time, helps me not have to use airplane mode all the time, helps me not have to turn the volume down at night and turn it back up again in the morning, which I usually forget. Really cool. So go and give it a try, see what you think. Leave some comments below if you liked this video or you have any feedback or anything you'd like to mention in regard to Do Not Disturb. So there you go. It's pretty simple. That is a quick overview of how you can set up schedule events in your Android phone to activate and deactivate Do Not Disturb. I hope you found that helpful. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel to get more videos like this in the future, share it with a friend, always out there to try and help other people, so pass it around, share the love. Otherwise, until next week, have a great one and go live a little. See ya.